Do they understand what we're dealing with in the community as it relates to the word violence?
Gang intervention workers filled the Los Angeles Council chambers today to voice support for what they are calling a historical anti-gang initiative.
For the first time in the history of intervention, we've been able to unite and come together to realize that the most important thing is saving lives.
For years, city leaders have talked about gang prevention, suppression, and intervention, with intervention being the least funded of the three. They say about $20 million goes to prevention, over $70 million to suppression, which is enforcement, and only about $4 million goes to intervention. The City Council passed a motion today that clearly defines what gang intervention work is and finally brings to light the dangers and risks involved in being a true interventionist.
Even though intervention historically has been the least funded, you guys actually provide the riskiest work.
Exactly. For example, we just dealt with a rash of murders over a 2-week period in which almost 13 people were killed. 3 or 4 15-year-olds were shot and murdered.
And then they start putting their thinking caps on. They may end up 20 minutes later at an apartment where they run into some guys that are going to retaliate, and they have guns in their hands. And that intervention worker actually gets them to put down the guns and stop the killing.
We have to be in the streets from midnight hours to the morning to 24/7.
Councilman Cardenas spearheaded the new community-based intervention model and definition with help from actual anti-gang workers from the streets who say today's victory will do more than put them on the map in the war against gang violence.
Today's council approval is vital because council members say for over 20 years the city has been funding so-called gang intervention programs without having a clear definition as to what gang intervention work is. Today's passage may mean more city dollars for true interventionists.
And definitely make sure that proper funding occurs in the future and that we don't inappropriately fund programs to do things that they just can't do.
I think it's important because if you don't know what intervention is or activities or services, then you can't really fund it or hold those agencies accountable.